Good morning. It's Friday, June the 14th, and I'm Claire Nollmeyer, and I'm here with Carol Harper, and we're just going to talk a little bit about Carol's time here at Tempe First United Methodist Church. She was here before it was Tempe First United Methodist Church, and we're just going to kind of wander through her memories. Hi, Carol.
Good morning.
But the first question that we usually start out with is, do you remember the first time you came to Tempe First?
I came to Tempe First as a baby, a 1-year-old or 2 months or so, in December of 1954, and so no, I don't really remember. There are members still alive that would tell you that I was in the nursery and I cried a lot in the nursery, and that's why they remembered me.
Where was the nursery then?
The nursery was in the building that's called the Fireside Building,
Mhm.
and so it was over that direction on campus. So,
And you weren't the only baby crying in the nursery.
well, there were a lot of children at Tempe First,
Mhm.
or Tempe United Methodist Church
Uh-huh.
in that day.
And you came with your mom, your sisters. You had time to grow up in the church and go through. We've already talked to Mrs. Lorraine Wern, and I bet you went through some of her classes.
Yes. Lorraine Wern went to high school with my dad. My dad was born in Tempe and lived different places in Arizona, but then he finished high school at Tempe High, and so he
Go
was
Buffs.
go Buffs. He was a Tempean. So yes, Lorraine remembered my dad from high school. But my mom and dad came to the church and joined the church and were very active in the church when we were growing up. And of course, I went to Sunday school and United. A lot of the, it was called MYF then. It's called something else now, but MYF. And we sang in the children's choirs, and we attended Vacation Bible School. And in fact, I was just the other day, I found in my mom's things, she and my dad had their membership to the church, and they were in the First Methodist Church is what it was called then, and this was in April of 1956 by Pastor John Zimmerman, and these were given to them as members of the church.
And you just found those in
I
your
just
mom's-
found them in my mom's lockbox. They must have been special to her.
I would think so. You talked about singing in the choir, and that is, I was standing behind the door that day, and I was not touched with that beautiful voice that you have. Tell me a bit about your years in the choir, all of them.
Well, when I was growing up, of course, I sang in the children's choirs in the church, and I was very lucky in the 70s to be involved with Dave and Jean Perry and their music ministry in the 70s with all the young people, high school and college age, which was a huge group. That's when I actually played guitar and learned to play and played with the church. It was a very big thing. And then in 1972, I was attending ASU in the fall, and the choir director here at the church was named Chuck Smith, and he was a professor at ASU, and he was also the director of the University Concert Choir, where I also sang. And he said, "Hey, don't you go to the Methodist church?" I go, "I do." "Well, why aren't you in the choir?" And I go, "Oh, that's for old people." And he goes, No, now it's going to be for you." And so I started singing in the sanctuary choir here in 1972, and have continually sung in the choir until now, and it's been a fabulous experience. All those years and all the people that I've met singing, the work that goes in behind the scenes to the music of the church is incredible.
That is something that I got to see one time when Warren was up in his office, and I got to see all of the music all of the music that's up there. Did you ever go any place out of the country, out of state, singing in the choirs? I know that they're off now, aren't they? Or maybe that's just some of the members are off.
Oh, that's with not with the church. No, I can't, I don't think so.
Oh, well, we've been lucky to have your voice. The other thing that we talk about is what were your impressions when you grew up a bit? What were your impressions of the people and the events here?
Well, one of the things I do remember from early on is when I first was old enough to remember anything, the sanctuary we have now was not the sanctuary of the church. We had a different church then. And in the early 60s, they were going to they had a campaign to build the sanctuary as the round sanctuary. And so they had a Sunday where they opened up the cornerstone in the front of the church from the original building. It was out on 8th Street, now called University, and we all gathered outside and they took the cornerstone of the original church out and the things that were in it, and I was impressed. It was maybe 61, I'm not really sure exactly, and I think Mrs. Grimes is the one. She was somebody very active in the church at that time, God. And so then when this was built, they put that cornerstone back, and then there's a new cornerstone from the building, from this building near it. And so I always, when I walk by, I think, oh yeah, that was opened at one time, and they had the church rolls and all different things from the time that it was originally put together.
So it was a time capsule.
It was a time capsule. Yeah, it was, and still is.
Mm-hmm.
It still is a time capsule.
Did everything go back into
Yeah, everything
it?
went back.
Oh.
I think they documented it.
We will look for
You
that.
can look for
Because that's
that.
what we're doing now is this history project.
But one of the other, the other things that I remember is I wanted to. We used to have a huge United Methodist group of kids called MYF. And we met on Sundays, and it was kids from all different high schools, McClintock and Tempe High. And it was just an influential group because you're searching at that time for a lot of things, and the people that provided that, MYF, still talk about things we did in MYF, and I wish we still had something like that for that. They have Wesley, but for high school kids, it was just an incredible experience. And also I brought from things that I found at my mom's house. This is a directory from 1972, and all of these families, all of these people and
Hundreds
families,
and hundreds.
and just so many of them still attend here, but it was when I was looking through it, I thought, oh my goodness, look at all the people that this church did touch their lives. So we have a long history of serving the people of our community.
Outside of just the religious part of it, the spiritual part,
Yes.
there has been some physical service. And which other hats have you worn other than in the choir around?
Oh my gosh,
church?
that's a long list. Oh, I wanted to tell you one other thing. So when I was growing up, they had a fundraiser dinner in February every year, and it was called the George and Martha Washington dinner, and it was a fundraiser. And one of the couples in our church at that time was the Kramers, Lowell and Beulah Kramer, and they dressed up as George and Martha. And then, of course, it was a huge, all of Ross Hall was full. The kitchen was full of cherry pies, and it was just a fabulous dinner. And my mom spent many a potluck working in the kitchen, and just all of the camaraderie of Methodist women through dinners and potlucks and fundraisers. But the George and Martha Washington, that was something. I hope you can find some pictures of them.
We will definitely task
that was
Judy
so.
with keeping an eye on
My
them.
jobs in the church, my goodness, currently I am the one who makes sure the banners get changed. I pick them out, but Jack is the one who actually hangs the banners. I serve on
Stitches helped put some together. Some of them
Yes,
needed a little TLC.
and me too. I
And you too,
repaired
yes.
a lot of them. I serve on the trustees. I've been on the trustees about 5 years. I was the staff parish chairperson for a while. I was the Memorial Garden chairperson under Dave McPherson, Reverend Dave McPherson. When that was done, I don't know, that's my current, when there's all kinds of
What comes
jobs.
up that needs to be
Yeah.
done,
Yeah,
they usually find you.
yeah.
On the idea of where we're going with the church, what our future holds, do you have any ideas of what we should be looking at? I know that we are looking at 5 different options.
Yes.
One, I think, has been just sort of eliminated right off the bat. And
our church has had a positive effect on many people, many families, walks of life, different people who come from different places. But we've always had a ministry on this site for 140 years, I think it is. And so I feel like we still should be continuing our ministry in whatever form that is through these changing times, what we can do. But something that is near and dear to me is we have been known at this church for quality music, instrumental and vocal, for many, many years.
decades.
And have provided quality performances and quality children's programs in music. And I feel like one of the things I wish we can do, is continue to provide incredible music, spiritual, heartfelt experiences for people that come to our church.
Well, we do have a sanctuary that is amenable to that, is workable for that, and Ross Hall itself has got a perfectly wonderful stage that I understand there have been performances on.
Yes.
Kathy, no, it was Sally Atsumi, would talk about how she would do the Christmas pageant up there. Were you ever involved in any of those plays?
I think I was already teaching school by then.
Uh-huh.
So, but I did teach a lot of vacation Bible school. How can we serve the community and continue to provide a fabulous experience for people who come?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, that's one of the things I'm passionate about, is that we would continue to provide the best that we can for the people that attend church here.
Yes. I had one other question here. Do you have a favorite spot on campus? Was there any place that comes to mind when you think, I'm going to church?
Well, I have my seat in the choir loft. And I have my special seat in the choir loft with my Bible right there, and I just enjoy that.
That's a good.
The music is close.
Mhm.
It's the choir singing from the choir loft. I understand people wish for a different experience, but when you perform from the choir loft, right next to the organ or right next to the piano, in that open space, it really is a very incredible experience.
It blends so beautifully.
It does.
When it comes over that wall is not right, but when it joins the rest of us in the sanctuary.
One of my favorite things here is there is a beautiful cathedral-shaped window of Jesus in the narthex, the back of the narthex, and that was saved from the old church.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just so beautifully done, and always
It's comforting to see that.
It is comforting to see it, absolutely.
On the question of where we're going and how that's all going to come about, that will be decided later on in the fall, I understand, from the work that many people within the church did on getting us moved along that far. I'm hoping that what you have in your hopes also combine to bring more kids this way, and whether they come for worship, whether they come for, it's a great place to run around and meet other kids and have Bible study of their own. I have high hopes that we will be able to continue and provide those, because that's a mission in itself.
It is.
Is the worship.
I do have to say, on my work on the trustees,
Mm-hmm.
I have had my eyes open to the incredible generosity of church people. You cannot imagine how many incredibly generous gifts are given through the pavers, or this wall, or this water fountain, or this, not out of the budget, but people that have actually said, I'll pay for that, I'll do that, I'll make that happen. And I am just overwhelmed at the generosity of the members of our congregation to for things to happen here. And the money that they've raised for the air conditioning, the money they raised for the organ, there's just so incredible that a small congregation is able to have such foresight in their generosity.
I can see it also because I'm on finance. So yes, it does show a love, a care, a community for this little corner over here that we have. I want to thank you very much for talking to me.